clear. If the Republicans have any hope of ever winning the White House again, they must be seen as supporting and actively supporting comprehensive immigration reform.
Yeah, and we don't see that anywhere from their party, and they're getting the blame for it. Clearly, I mean, it's working out the way it should work out in that case. I want to ask about Attorney General Eric Holder. Then I want to bring in Jason Johnson from Politic 365. President Obama is meeting with Attorney General Eric Holder, civil rights leaders today. He met with them to discuss the Voting Rights Act. I'm going to ask you this, Bill, and I'm going to ask Jason, too. Can Holder reassemble what the SCOTUS decision took apart?
Well, I'm glad to see this action. I think it's a little too late, in my opinion, for Eric Holder, but it should be a top priority. He's starting with Texas. There's no doubt Texas is, very guilty of wanting in any way to suppress the vote, violate people's basic voting rights. So I'm glad to see the president make this a priority. I'm glad to see Holder make it a priority. I wish he had done it last year when some 25 states passed measures to suppress the vote.
Yeah, you know, Bill, I actually think, and Jason, I'm going to ask you this now. Bill and I tend to agree on Eric Holder that he's been a disappointment, but one of the areas on which he's been quite strong is on voting rights, on sort of going into the face of South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas even. What's your take on this meeting, Jason?
Well, I think the meeting is a good thing because Barack Obama, an inadvertent legacy that he's going to have is that he has elicited such a groundswell of white racism that he has to spend time as a president fighting battles that we thought were won 60 years ago. And that's what Eric Holder is spending a lot of time doing. So while in many ways he has been a disappointment on issues like civil liberties, he's actually been incredibly activist in trying to work for voting rights and discrimination. And so it's good that Obama and these leaders are getting together now because this fight is not over, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's that he's been back on his heels with this for so long. Jason, I'll stay with you. Based on the media coverage today, you might think the biggest story in all of the world, or this little world we live in, was Hillary Clinton's White House lunch with the president. She's scheduled to have breakfast with Vice President Joe Biden tomorrow. What does this have to do with 2016?
Well, it has a lot to do with 2016. She's going to sit there with Barack Obama, and they're going to discuss when he's inevitably going to have to give her some sort of endorsement. She's going to tell the vice president, Joe Biden, that she's going to meet him at 9:30, and then she won't show up until 10. And basically try to undermine him early now because Hillary very much thinks that this is a position that she deserves. She doesn't really want to have to compete with Joe Biden for the role. And it's setting up what she thinks should be a cakewalk for her in 2016. I don't know if it will be, but that's what she wants the Democratic primary to be.
Bill, listening to Jason, that makes a lot of sense. Do you think there's something she's sitting down with Joe Biden tomorrow saying, hey, listen, Joe, I'm telling you, I'm running for president. Don't tell anyone, please.
She doesn't have to do that. He knows it. I was at the White House today. What was funny about it, by the way, two things quick. I see that they actually ended up having lunch outside. That's the very table where President Obama had the beer summit in the Rose Garden.
That's right.
Yeah. The lunch was originally scheduled for the private dining room just off the Oval Office, so they moved it outside. I just find that kind of curious.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that at the briefing today, somebody asked, what are they going to have for lunch? You tell me the White House wasn't ready for this. They handed out the menu. They knew exactly they were having grilled chicken and jambalaya pasta and salad for lunch. So both sides enjoyed this today. It keeps them all in the public view. And you know what? They're friends. They are friends.
That's the thing. They were opponents, but now they're friends. Jason and Bill, stick around, both of you. We're going to talk more politics on the other side. Coming up on the show tonight, also not loving it. 1%